What up, guys? It's Phil with Phil's Lawn Care.
Hey, it's Aaron with the Mowing in the Dark Lawn Care Podcast.
Hey guys, Cameron here with the Lawn Care Life of Missouri.
Hey everyone, this is Evan with Turf Nerds, a lawn care podcast.
Hey guys, this is Dan White with Lawn Care Unscripted.
And you're listening to the Lawn Care Talk with Tony Rudolph.
How you guys doing? We're recording on a beautiful Labor Day. Love our country. Love what we get to do in our business. This is lcbu22. And we're going to call my friend Travis because he's going to be on the podcast. So let's try to do that. We're going to try to dial him up. He's got a super cool story. So let's try to do this thing. Y'all are going to get to hear this real time. Let's see.
It makes a sound.
Mm-hmm.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying...
Hello?
Travis, what's up, buddy?
Hey, man. You doing all right?
Doing really good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Just hanging out in the office. Got a new puppy, so got her out here with me, just hanging out.
Yeah. Well, we're already recording, but I wanted to, yeah, and Willow's out here. She has the headphones on, too.
All right.
But, yeah, so guys out there, my friend Travis, he's a super, super cool guy. I've known him for a number of years, and he thinks outside the box, which I think is really cool. Just, I guess, like pretty much all of us do that, run our own business. It's different than just having, a regular job where we show up and we get paid. But Travis also has started an eBay business, which I think is really neat. So we need to ask him about that, too. And he's has a really cool shipping container office that he made for it and all that. So I want him to dive into that. But so how you doing today, Travis?
I'm doing good, man. Just, it poured last night out here. So, you just, whenever you get up and you go outside and it's all muggy outside in the morning, you just kind of want to sit there and just kind of watch it dry off for a little bit.
Yeah.
But
well, don't
it's
you?
also a holiday, too. So,
right.
Got to relax a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell the people, how did you even, because I don't even know the full beginning story. Tell people, how do you even get into the lawn care business to begin with?
Into lawn care?
Yeah.
Growing up, my dad had a landscaping business, and he works up on the north side of Atlanta, but he lives in Loganville, it's about an hour drive. So he has a really long commute to work every day, but I grew up working with him, and he still does lawn care, and it's just him, solo operator. And I grew up doing it, and then when I got old enough to get out on my own, I wanted to do other stuff, so I tried to be a mechanic and learned that wasn't really the best field to go into, for me at least. So I ended up falling back into landscaping because at the time I had moved out to Madison, and it just kind of seemed like my wife, she says, God always has a plan. But we got the house that we live in for I bought it 10 years ago, and some people might get a little flustered, but I think that I financed $81,000 on it, and the interest rate was 3%.
Wow.
So we're just gonna stay out here as long as I can, and but Madison, it happened to be a really good spot for landscaping, and I didn't think it would be, but I started out working a little bit on my off days and everything. I built up a couple of accounts, and as when we start out, we have a really large service area. So I was driving. I had a couple of accounts all the way in Conyers. I was driving my box truck all the way to Conyers, and that was the box truck. It didn't come into the picture for a couple more years, but that was kind of my dad, his legacy passing down to me was helping me get my business started. And he hooked me up with the box truck, and then he had a bunch of old weed eaters and stuff. And some of them worked, some of them didn't, but I got between 6 old things. I got them all pieced together because the older steel stuff, it's like Legos. It all kind of pieces together.
Yeah.
And I got all that stuff going, and it was a great blessing for him to help us out. It was me and my, I don't know if I was married at that time. Yeah, I was. And we didn't have any kids yet. The kids are
Mm-hmm.
oldest is 3 right now, so the kids are coming into the picture now. But it was fortunate to grow the business and everything before we had kids, because it is financially it's a little difficult whenever you're starting a business and growing it, and
Yeah,
that was.
it is for sure, especially, and then once you add kids in the mix, it definitely complicates things. And a lot of guys are faced with that, whereas, maybe they have a job that they're, I don't know, whatever the reason, they're not making the money they want to make, or whatever, and they have kids, and then they're also starting their lawn care business and kind of infusing all of it together. And like you're saying, that can be a challenge trying to make all that work.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Money wise, and just like hours of daylight in the day. These guys are trying to mow in the nights and on the weekends and stuff after their other job. And but it can be done, guys. It can be done. It's going to be hard for a little while, but I really think that any of you guys out there, because like every day people email me like, hey, I want to, and again, I'm not talking down to anyone that is in that position, because I was in that position, Travis was in that position, not even really that long ago. But every day people like, I even, just people I don't know. And some people take it and run with it. Like my man, Tom Sawyer, was someone I had on the podcast recently. He's really doing cool things with his business, but like all the time getting people, just people email in like, hey, I really want to start a lawn care business, but I'm scared about doing it, and I don't know, how I can find the customers, and, just all the challenges, that are come with it. But it can be done. Travis done it. He, just like me, just like a lot of us out here, it wasn't, I mean, Travis could correct me if I'm wrong, but it wasn't a thing where your dad's like, hey, here's a $50,000, get your lawn care business trust, started. It wasn't like that.
Oh yeah, no, it was, we're talking, the box truck, it was $5,000. It's a 1998 Econoline 350. It's, I have to push the marker lights back in every time I drive it because they fall out. But it's not perfect. I painted the box. I got it looking good. Granted, it probably needs repainted by now because it's been about 5 years. But I did all that. I bought the dovetail. I welded that on myself, and I learned how to weld in the process. And one big thing, and my dad, when he moved to Atlanta from Ohio, and he moved, and funny thing, my dad actually, his father was a landscaper as well, so he grew up. He would get pulled out of school to go and cut grass, and and they didn't get paid at all. My dad, he paid me when I was working with him. I think he ended up paying me $10 an hour or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
when one big thing whenever you're starting a lawn care business too, if you can really learn the aspects of landscaping, it makes a huge difference being able to do projects. Still to this day, I don't make enough money off of just my maintenance alone to pay all of my bills. I rely on projects, and it's also some of the reason that I started a second business, buying and selling stuff. But having the projects, you can the the labor rate on lawn mowing. I try to get $75 an hour. It usually will float a little bit in here and there depending on the
Mm-hmm.
customers.
Yep. Same for
But
me.
doing
Yep.
landscaping work, you can charge $150, 200, even more depending on what you're doing. And
Yep.
I
And what equipment you
finally,
have and stuff.
exactly. And, that was one big thing last year. I had pretty much everything that could have went wrong. But, I invested in a tractor with a backhoe and a bucket and all that. And that thing has been such a lifesaver. I mean, it's paid for itself every bit and up until now. And, I financed it with my business. I didn't finance it personally. The business
Mm-hmm.
owns it. So, it doesn't affect your credit. I don't even know if they checked my personal credit whenever I did it, but it was a used Kubota. It was $15,000, and it ended up being like $350 a month. So,
Yep.
if
Yep.
anybody's been familiar with landscaping jobs, it's not hard to recoup $350 a month on a payment on a tractor. So,
And then hopefully you're able, and you're able to get one-off calls doing that, and then also, just like current customers, because current maintenance customers are always going to want, hey, I want, they like to change this or change these plants or change this bed or,
Oh yeah,
build,
absolutely.
stone path or, whatever. There's always things, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, and I have a one of my customers. They're wanting me to do a retaining wall coming up, and it's nothing big, but that'll be those will be probably $1,000 a day
mm-hmm.
to do it. Take 2 or 3 days. So I mean, it's a real good profit margin for what it is, and I'm 32 and. I'm not in the best shape in the world, but I've landscaped since I was little. So, you get outside digging and stuff, you start getting aches and pains. And when it's 95 degrees and 80%, 90% humidity, having a diesel powered worker that doesn't complain is really nice.
Really
So,
good. Yeah.
there's just a lot less. I'm definitely in the boat of mechanizing over hiring employees if you're at that point in your business, but there definitely is a point in time to when you need employees and need help. But everybody has their own business plan, so it just depends on what you're trying to do exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I love it, and I think that's so cool. I mean, you got this box truck, and you'd even like I said, it's an older box truck. I have a video showing his setup on my YouTube channel. I can't remember what the exact title is of it right off the bat. But if you type in Tony's Lawn Care and you type in, or if you type in Tony's Lawn Care on YouTube, type in Tony's Lawn Care setup, you'll find it in there. In this, because it is something. I made sure I snuck lawn care setup somewhere in the thing, so that way you'll be able to find it. But yeah, and it shows this whole thing. But he has this box truck, and he done a lot of engine work to it. He has another F-150. He's done a lot of mechanical things to that too as well. So that's another thing where, he's taught himself how to do some of these things. Whereas, if he just said, "Hey, I don't know," and throw your hands up and bring it to the shop, or whatever, and you're going to pay lots of money and wait a long time, to get these things done. And so that's another thing is he's really kind of just taking the bull by the horns as far as the whole aspect, of running a business. You've embraced the hard parts and and the good parts, but so I think that's really cool. But also, I think guys are going to be super interested in it because I think it's super neat. Tell us about how you started the eBay part. So did you just decide to sell a couple things on there? I mean, I've sold random things on there over the years, but not doing nothing compared to what you're doing on there. So tell us how you got into the eBay business and tell us kind of how it's working now, because and tell them about the shipping container and that whole setup. Tell them the starting of that business, because that's really cool.
Yeah, well, I think I'm on year 2 officially with the business, and I'm just buying and reselling stuff, and I'm still trying to figure out, what niche I'm trying to go into. So I have a pretty broad horizon of things that I'm selling at the moment, but I'm trying to move towards selling uh, utilitarian type things like parts and stuff like that for machines and cars and stuff possibly. But so I started getting into it. I would buy things here and there to sell, like a lawnmower, dirt bikes and 4-wheelers and stuff, and fix them up. And it's, definitely make some money on it because, like I said, my landscaping, I don't make enough money just doing maintenance. So I had to have extra time and everything, but I also like having the extra time so I can spend it with my family, which is very, very important. Don't let that get past you. But
and you're not mowing 50 yards a week or whatever. You have a pretty manageable maintenance schedule. You know what I'm saying? Tell them about that.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah. I believe I would have to sit down and look at paper, but I believe that I service somewhere around 20 accounts and I have a handful that's every week, and then the rest are biweekly. So, and I keep them scheduled to where I have 1 week that's a heavy week, and then the next week I'm only working 2 days. I have my weekly, and then I have a couple of biweeklies that I visit. But and my properties are very large, so I have it depends on who you're talking to when you say very large, but I have, most of my properties are at least an acre, somewhere around there, if not more. I have one that's 3.5, and then I have a HOA I do that's about the same. And those ones, you make this. I charge the same hourly rate I would as going to smaller houses. Granted, you can. I personally think you can make more money doing post stamp little bitty yards than you can doing larger properties. But the area we live in is larger properties. But those customers that have these nice, $2 million, $1 million properties on the lake, they have money to do projects. So that's, I try to cherry pick my lawn care customers. So they're going to be giving me extra projects and stuff like that. It's, that's a fair trade in it. But
So I just think it's cool because you're doing a couple days of maintenance every day. You're doing some landscape projects with the tractor. And then how much time are you spending on the eBay right now?
It's kind of varying right now because I'm trying to catch up on projects. So that's one thing I really like about the eBay stuff is I can spend a bunch of time doing it whenever I have time, and then I can take a break from it, and all I have to do is pack stuff that sells for however long that I want to not work. But you get out of it what you put into it. So it's one of those things. But the eBay, I really started focusing hard on it. Once I learned you can make some pretty good money on it if you're careful on what you buy and everything. And I've definitely lost a fair share of money on stuff. I was just the other day I was laughing because I had a shipment that I made like negative $10 on, but
Oh, wow.
that's just how it goes sometimes. And then and there's other stuff. I have currently have a ton of lawnmower blades that I bought from a lawnmower shop that went out of business. But I've been making money off those. And then the one thing that was really cool, considering this is a lawn care podcast, I bought two Lawn Boy push mowers from 1991 at this auction, and they were brand new, never used, and I paid $30 for each one. And I
Wow.
ended up selling those they sold for about $800 for one, and the other one sold for $600.
That's
But
crazy.
that was, I spent a long time cleaning them and everything. But it is what it is. You still spend. I haven't now. If I've been trying to get a bearing on an hourly rate on my eBay business, and I've figured somewhere between $20 and $40 an hour. So
That's
it's
cool.
still not nowhere near what I want it to be, but I also haven't niched down into something in particular quite yet either.
And so how
So
are you well, tell them about how you set up and got that shipping container in your backyard because that's really cool
okay,
for the business.
so when it would be best just to explain how I started, like why I got it. But so when I started selling the stuff on eBay, I have my workshop outside, and it's just a shed that's connected to a big lean-to and everything. I don't remember if it's on that tour video that you
I
did
think
or
it
not.
is. I think it is.
But yeah, so I would do all the stuff out there. I would hang up a white bed sheet on my shelf, and I would take pictures of the items out there, and then I would put them in my other shed where I store my fertilizer. There's a bunch of shelves in there, so I put it in there. I had no sort of inventory system or anything, so I would just by memory do it. And when I got to about 200 items listed in the store, I started losing things. And but I that was my experimental time to learn if this would be a feasible business, and it was. So what I ended up doing was I actually took a loan out on it. I don't, I'm not super big on taking loans out on stuff, but
Yeah,
it's
me
worth
neither.
it. In my case, I feel like it was worth it because I was stuck. So, I had to hop that next hurdle. So I took out, and I think I ended up spending 10 grand on. It's a 40-foot high cube container, and I fully finished 20 foot of it into an office, and I got a a big HVAC window unit that does heat and everything. So, and I wired it all up. I learned how to do Ethernet connections. That was fun. So I got high speed. I got geez, I think I have like almost gig speed internet out here.
Oh,
And
wow.
and then I did the other half 20 foot with shelves, and I made an inventory system. So everything, it took forever to build it. It took several months last year to get everything built out like I wanted. And and it hurt, putting all that money in debt like that because I'm still paying on it, but I couldn't really move forward with the systems that I had, and I needed dry storage. I needed somewhere to where I actually wanted to go out and work. That's if you're going out to cut grass after you've been working for 8 hours outside and you got 2 more hours of sunlight, you're not going to want to go out there and try pulling on a push mower for an hour trying to get it to start with starter fluid. You
Right,
want to
right.
you want to be comfortable, and one of my big things was having air conditioning. So because it's just working outside, I wanted to come in here and cool off and do what I needed to do to get stuff listed. But no, man, it's been great. It's not the most profitable at the moment, but like I said, I'm still kind of in the infancy, or I guess we're in the toddler stages at this point,
Yes.
not infancy.
Well, it's just like anything, just like any of our lawn care business or anything. It's not like, week one we started a business, boom, we're making money. It doesn't work like that. You gotta you gotta be patient, with it, stick with it, and be patient with the process, and keep, building your route, and
Absolutely.
and kind of get better about, pricing the lawns and not taking ones that you shouldn't take and all this thing. And I guess it'd be same way with eBay, right? Like, it's gonna there'd be a learning curve to how to do all the parts of
Oh
it.
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I am a firm believer in the school of hard knocks. You can uh, you can do all the schooling and education and classes and seminars you want, but getting out and doing it yourself is going to teach you better than anything else will, because that's something's always going to go wrong. Being an entrepreneur, it definitely has its ups and its downs, but you just got to keep your head up. And I just what did it for me was when I worked the last job that I had. With the exception, I did work at Chick-fil-A for a little bit when I was getting my business started and stuff between, because like I said, you got to make it happen. But
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
the last real job I had was working at the Honda dealership, working on cars up there. And they just lead me on stuff because they have an actual a private school that they send the technicians to, and it's all paid for. And I did all of my online courses and everything, and I was ahead of everybody that was in my department. But they said, sorry, Travis, we can't send you to it because these guys were here before you, but they didn't even have their stuff done. So I was just and I was working at this job, Tony. I was working 40 hours a week, and then I was cleaning the shop too, which was an additional 2 hours, 6 days a week that I was doing it. So I was working up there, and I think my take home was like $600.
Oh, wow.
So when you're working that long to make $600, and then that was, and I think my dad, having working up doing landscaping, I knew what you could make cutting grass and everything. And there
Mm-hmm.
was
Mm-hmm.
times my dad would go out of town, and he would say, well, just take your truck and go and do my route. He had a little 6x10 trailer, and I tell you what, I pulled that trailer all the way to Atlanta with a Honda Civic before,
Oh,
and
wow.
I did all of the work with it. I had a walker and I had a walker on the trailer, and then what a turf tracer and a push mower. I put all of that on that trailer, and I would pull it with a Honda Civic all the way to Atlanta. But I would get the stuff done, and I would get his route. What he would give me done, I would start at 7, 8 o'clock, get up there real early because it's hot,
Yeah.
and I would get finished at like 2, and I would be like, "Man, that's it." And he was like, "Yeah, you see, that was $500." I'd get up there and I'd bust out. He'd give me like 8 yards or something like that, and I'd get
Mm-hmm.
out and
Mm-hmm.
bust them out. And I'm just, it's like, dang, you really can make some good money cutting grass, but that was there. You got all the factors of buying the equipment and everything too. So,
Right,
you
right,
can't just settle on a minimal amount every month. You got to keep that in mind. But,
right, right.
just compared to working, with the level education that I have and everything, working up there, it wasn't any fun. So, and then whenever my wife, she became a teacher, she went to UGA for 4 years, and she was a teacher, and we did her, because they're salaried, so they get paid once a month, just a predetermined amount, but they work more than 40 hours, and that's
Yep,
pretty
yep.
common knowledge. But we ended up doing her stuff, and she was only making like $16 an hour or something like that. So it's just, you have to really appreciate what you're doing whenever you got your own business, because it'll get you down. You'll lose money. Stuff's gonna happen, but you know, you just got to keep on chugging, because it's worth it in the end. You know, you're not. I'm not saying that I make $7,500 an hour when I'm
Right.
talking about numbers either. You know, I've done the math. I think my overhead is like $28 per hour or something like that. So you know, it costs me that much money just to show up at the grass and look at
Right.
the
Right.
grass.
Right.
So, you know, and there's definitely a learning curve if you're getting into it, but you know, there is a point where you have to fully commit and just make it happen.
And so this, so like on eBay, like these, like the lawn boy mowers and all this stuff that you finding, are you like finding that stuff in person on Facebook Marketplace? Or are you buying it from eBay and reselling it on eBay? Um, tell us about that. And then also, like, the shipping container is super cool. He's got like an office in one part, and so you have air conditioning. Like, are you out there right now or what?
Yeah, I'm sitting in here. I got I did all the stuff mindfully whenever I was building it out. So I didn't, a lot of the stuff, like I got used countertops and stuff like that I
Yep.
put out here, but they look fine. It's an office. I'm using it for cleaning
And
stuff
then,
and whatnot.
and so you also use that area. You take the pictures in there, like for the eBay stuff.
Yes. Yes, that was one of the biggest reasons that I set it up. And I don't remember if I showed you all the lighting, but it's lit up. I have two switches. I have like normal lights that are okay, and then you turn on the high beams pretty much, and you take pictures of everything because you can see well.
Right. Yeah, and that and
So,
that is pretty critical to when you list something on eBay. If the picture is really
absolutely.
good, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and that was and as far as the sourcing the stuff, I have like a variety of places, but the auctions seems to be one of the best. There's a website called Auction Zip, and it's just it's kind of like a listing place for auctions. So it'll just be, you can look up all the auctions in Georgia for the next 30 days, and it'll give you a list, and you just kind of hand look through those and hand pick ones where you find cool stuff, and and then you just go from there. But a lot of it, you're gambling on, and some
Yep.
of it you're
Yep.
not. And I'm not a gambling man at all. I have gone to a casino, I think once or twice, and it was extremely depressing because that's just I work too hard for my money just to throw it away
Absolutely.
like that.
Yeah. And so, like,
So
in auctions, that can be kind of that's where that opportunity is for you, because just because it's an auction doesn't mean that something's a good deal. I mean, I was with my dad, I don't know, a year or two ago at an equipment auction, and man, these things, people are bidding back and forth in these enclosed trailers and different things. Some of these people end up paying more than they would if they just went down to the trailer dealer and bought it brand new. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, man,
oh
that's
yeah,
kind of interesting. Like, why would you do that?
it's the auction excitement. The people get
Yeah.
excited, about it, so they want to win it, and that's the you can't have any emotional ties to what you're buying and selling at all. So that's one thing that when I first started out, I would keep stuff here and there, and man, Tony, I had a pile of stuff in my workshop. I was like, man, I'm going to use this, and I just, whenever I'm going through stuff, I have a pile that I'll sit to the side that I'm like, man, I could use this. And once I get the whole bin filled up, I take the bin and I put it on the counter and I list that whole bin as one random lot. So, that's what I learned. You can't keep everything you buy, and for what I pay for some of this stuff, it's tempting to, and I do keep some things here and there, some specialty tools, but and that's one thing about being a mechanic, going into being mechanically inclined and doing lawn care. Those go
Huge help.
hand in hand.
Yes.
That is like a big deal. And and you were talking about how you would go and spend all this money getting a lawnmower repaired. Well, whenever something would happen with one of my vehicles or one of my mowers, I would fix it myself. But I'll trying to think so the bearings in my truck and the rear axle went out, and it's I couldn't tell you why. Probably because I put 3,000 pounds of sand in the bed and pull it. But
Yeah.
when you've got airbags on an F-150, anything can happen. But so, and make sure you got good tires. Always keep good 10 plies on there if you're pulling weight. So load rated tires are key. But whenever I had to replace those bearings, the bearings themselves are only like $30. But the tools to pull it out, it was I bought a nice kit because I knew I was going to reuse it, but it was like $280, and it would have probably cost about what I spent on the tool and the parts to get it repaired somewhere. But I wanted to do it myself because I might need to do it again, and I've replaced those bearings another time since then because they just wear out, so.
That's really cool. And so, like, when you're buying stuff, though, that would be the biggest key, though, right? Just like buying, or just like if you buy a piece of real estate or whatever, is you, for eBay, I'm saying, like, you have to buy it cheap enough, or you will, there's no way you can make money, because obviously you can compare every item against every. You type in whatever item you're looking for, it's going to show you 10 other people selling that thing on eBay for their price too. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. So what I ended up figuring out is you need a minimum of 5 times your money. So if you buy something for $10, you need to be able to sell it for 50, and ideally 10 times. Buy it for $10, sell it for 100. I know that might sound a little crazy, but it's really easy to do when you get niched down into certain things. And buy the right stuff to flip. But one big thing about eBay that a lot of people don't realize is I'm looking at my inventory sitting on the shelf right now. I've had this stuff for a year or so. I mean, maybe longer. Some of the stuff, maybe a couple months, some of it. But when you list something, you don't know when it's going to sell. It could sell in a year. It could sell in a day. But so that's one thing. But you just have to know what you're selling is going to sell. And when you're especially on eBay, they take a lot of fees and stuff like that, but they make selling really simple. So they pay all of my state taxes, because if you sell something in Arizona, you are reliable for the sales tax in the state of Arizona. So if you don't sell stuff through eBay, whenever you do your taxes, you need to report a sales tax and pay a sales tax to every state that somebody bought something in. So, there's a lot of.
So that's part of because I think the 5 or 10 times rule is great, because I feel like when you find some deal on something, well, you gotta factor in the shipping, right? Which shipping is expensive these days. And then number 2, like all the, I think I sold when I was upgrading my GoPro cameras, I sold a couple of my older GoPro cameras, and they sold really quickly, but you end up paying, maybe 13% or something by the time it's done, by the time the person paid you on PayPal, and then eBay takes out some. Is that about right? But you're saying the sales tax is part of what you're paying for that too as well?
Yeah. And with my listings, I always do free shipping, because everybody's used to Amazon free shipping.
Yes.
So,
yeah, I did the same thing too.
You just add it into the price. But really, when you're listing something on eBay, if you actually want it to sell, what you do is you look up in the filters, you can go to sold items, and you just look up exactly what you have in used or new condition, and you see if anybody has bought one in the past 90 days, and what it was bought for, and just list it for that price, or a little more, a little less. See what's currently listed on there, and you just kind of got to ballpark it. You're not you can't charge all kinds of stuff, and there is money laundering on eBay too. You have to keep in mind for that. I know a lot of people, they kind of freak out about these the Disney Black Diamond video cassette tapes, because there was ones that supposedly sold for $10,000 on eBay, but if you actually learn a little bit about that, the guy who sold it was a new seller, and then the person who bought it was a new buyer. So it's it's pretty obvious that was just a setup, and some people do that to skew the market on things, but so just keep in mind, have some common sense when you're listing stuff. But
so what are you talking about? So the money laundering thing of because like you're saying, you there's like random things that sell for crazy money. So like explain that a little more, because what do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean by
it's just whenever you're looking up like the sold comparisons, you'll see stuff like that. And there was one thing that I had looked up. I'm sorry, my puppy's sitting here eating my boxes in my office. So
no, it still sounds great. It sounds fine.
Okay, good. But yeah, doing all that. What was I saying, Tony?
Yeah, you're talking about like the Disney Black Diamond tape, and we were trying to explain the laundering thing of what things sell for crazy price.
Yeah, so The one thing that I saw most recently that was interesting was I have a couple of BR600s that I'm going to part out,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw an engine block for one that had sold for like $2,000, and I was like, why would an engine block for a BR600 sell for that? But people will actually do that. They'll take if I took something and I talked to you Tony, like not on online or anything,
Right, right.
where they could on eBay, but if I told you, I'll give you 2 grand and you buy this, and that's that $2,000 cash that Mrs. Herfenherbler paid me, and I need to put it, in a different business or launder the money, as they would call it. You just do that, make it seem like a legitimate sale, even though it actually wasn't. So it's just a way to make illegitimate money legitimate, and that's what the money laundering comes in. But I'm not going to say that's something that's commonplace on eBay. Don't take it like that. But that is.
So you're saying like someone like they list something for a crazy high price and they have someone that just doesn't know any better that pays them that, or like a friend or something. Like I'm trying to
Yeah,
understand it.
they'll have a friend that'll buy it, or they will have another account themselves, and they will purchase it. And it'll take if you got $10,000 cash that you found on the street or were selling drugs or something like that, but you had a $10 item that you sold on eBay and somebody bought it for. It's like, well, that's where I got the $10,000 from. I didn't get it from being
Oh,
a
I
drug.
see. So they're just there are people on there that are getting money doing illegal things and then trying to legitimize it by, oh, I sold this
Yeah.
item for this.
Yeah, exactly. And and that's just the nature of the internet, though. So I mean, I
Right.
don't want to. That happens everywhere, and like I said, it's not commonplace on eBay by any means. But if you're ever looking up something and see something crazy like that, just don't think, unless you see like 5 or 6 things that sold for it, it's just
Yeah, because I have seen those things. Like if I don't know, if I'm looking for something and then I see some like the same thing as I'm looking down through all the ones that I could buy. I don't, whatever it is that I was looking for, some part for a mower or something. How come? And then you see one part's the same as the other parts, and it's like $3,000 for like a $50 part or something. Like, and why do they? You're saying they only list them on there just to do something like you're saying? Because I'm like, who in their right mind would buy that $50 thing for $3,000? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Now there might be something else, other people reasons they do that, but from my knowledge, that's whenever you see that on there, that's what it is.
I gotcha. Well, and it's nothing to do with the internet or eBay's fault. I mean, there's people doing illegal things in real life transactions too. It's no different. It's just,
Oh yeah,
it's just,
I've had I actually, I bought it's unfortunate that it happened, but I bought a trailer off of Facebook Marketplace last year, a little, I think it was like a 6x8 or something like that. And I went and I went to the guy's house, and we were coming back from South Georgia, so I was 2 hours from the house, and I had Amy, I had my wife and the 2 daughters with me, so we stopped
yeah.
there, and it wasn't the nicest neighborhood in the world. So we stopped there, and I looked at the trailer. It looked all good. The tire was a little flat. So we hooked it up to the truck, or it was the RAV4 actually. We hooked it up to that, and I started driving away, and the axle's bent. So this trailer's hopping up and down and going crazy. I got sick to my stomach. I'm like, there's no way I can haul this, 120 miles. So
Yeah.
I turned around and I called the guy back, and he came outside, and I met with him, and I paid like $300 to the trailer, and he ended up giving me back $150 and took the trailer back. So I lost $150 on that, but it was one of those situations where I wasn't super comfortable with the area, and I had my family with me and everything.
Right.
So
So
you
was
just
the
cut your losses and go.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's pretty cool that you're able to get any money back from that. So with the axle, it wasn't, you couldn't tell just by looking at it, but when you're driving it, you're saying
No.
something was wrong with it.
Yeah, it was super messed up. So it was one of those things. It was a cheap trailer, so it wasn't perfect in the first place. But we took it and I rolled it and everything. But needless to say, if anybody is listening to this ever buys a trailer, pull it down the road with your truck before you exchange money. Don't just buy a trailer off of looks. that was a huge mistake. If I had test drove it, I wouldn't have bought it. But you know, you don't think about test driving a trailer usually.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, that was what threw me off on it. But, you know, you just things happen, you know, and that really upset me. You know, I'm a tough guy, you know, but tough guys cry, and I was crying on the way home, man. I was so upset. You know, I felt like I got robbed, and I met a kind of sort of did, kind of sort of didn't. You know, it wasn't
Yep.
forceful or anything like that, but you know, it was an interesting situation, and I've had and on selling stuff on eBay, you know, our wonderful federal government just lose all kinds of packages, and boy, you can't ever get an insurance claim on it. So you know, I've had probably $1,000 worth of products since I started selling 2 years ago just go AWOL whenever it gets listed, and I lose on that completely.
Oh
So
wow. So how does that work? So you just end up having to refund the person that bought it, and then you don't know where the package ever went, right? Is that what you're saying?
yep. Yep, it just disappears, and you know, you can file a claim, but you know it's just gonna fall on deaf ears. Nobody's gonna respond to it or anything. So you know, you just kind of take it as a loss, and whenever you do your taxes, you keep track of it. So
Yep, I
you
gotcha.
know, all that stuff, it does come in handy.
And so do you use is it better like if you use like UPS or something like that versus like the regular USPS?
Oh, they have the same failure rates.
Oh, I gotcha.
So you know, ironically, one of those lawn boy mowers that sold for like $600, I shipped it with UPS, and it ended up getting damaged during shipping. And the guy was giving me a hard time about it. And, you know, I'm trying to just make everything right. So there was a piece of metal bent on it. And, you know, keep in mind this is like a one-off lawnmower, but
Right.
he was saying a metal fabricator quoted him $500 to fix it, and I only sold the thing for 600. And I told him, I was like, well, obviously I'm not going to give you more money than you paid for the lawnmower, and you keep it. So, you know, I can meet you in the middle, and you can keep it, or I'll give you a full refund, and you just send it on back. And that just fell upon deaf ears. He never responded, and the whole thing just went away with time. So
So he ended up just keeping the mower, and
yeah,
you
he
don't
ended
know?
up just keeping it and not wanting to deal with the damage and stuff. I honestly don't know. I mean, he could have gotten, you know, he could be in a hospital or something. I have no idea. But, you know, he just quit responding because, you know, whenever you're working with a customer on, you know, any business, you know, you want to be as good customer service, go back and forth. And that's what I
Yep.
was. You know, I was Johnny on the spot, and he just quit responding to my messages, you know, and I'll just take that as, you know, I guess it's okay then. So,
Right. Yeah, and
you know, you know,
that would be another challenge that you're navigating through because obviously when you're selling stuff on eBay like that, that feedback rating is very important for you to sell stuff in the future. And
yes,
you know, I mean, I guess it
it
works
gives you
same way with our real life lawn care business, but it'd be hard, you know, because there are because that would be a challenge because there are some people that buy stuff that even if it was exactly like you told them, they would never be happy with it. Just like, you know, there's always that one guy at McDonald's every day brings his burger back like 6 times. You know what I mean? Like, so,
yeah, exactly. So you're always going to have somebody you can't keep happy, but you know, that is selling on eBay. You know, you actually, as a seller, I can block people from buying my stuff.
oh,
So if
okay.
I have somebody a problem, you know, a repeat problem person, I can just could block them completely, and they can't buy anything from my store.
And they would have to like make a new profile or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, and I've never really had too many problems with people on eBay, and because
Right.
eBay, they protect the sellers as well as the people who buy stuff. So it's kind of like a two-way protection deal. So,
Yeah, I mean,
you know, if one of
overall,
you buys,
I think it's really interesting because overall, I really like eBay. I mean, for the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years, like I always am buying, you know, random parts I need for mowers or things on eBay because I don't know. I personally like eBay. Never had a problem like if you know just as a buyer, like if I bought something and didn't come, like I've always end up getting my money back or something. Like what I'm saying is like overall, I feel like the eBay website is really, really neat because, there might be some mower dealer in Minnesota that has this random part that I need that's hard to find, or like only a dealer can get it, or you can't even find it on a lot of other websites, but you can buy it on eBay and buy it from them and they ship it to me, and and that's cool.
Yes, absolutely, and I appreciate you buying those parts, Tony, because I do sell lawnmower parts, so
Yeah, yeah,
that keeps people like me in business. And the one thing that I don't want to give away any of my industry secrets on here, but I don't care honestly. But the John Deeres, you can only buy their parts from John Deere dealerships. So what
mm-hmm.
I ended up kind of a little niche that I've found is I'll get an old John Deere riding lawnmower for $50, $100 on Facebook Marketplace,
Right.
and just take the whole thing apart, every little part, and list it on eBay, and it sells really good. And just earlier this week, I sent a dash panel from a John Deere riding lawnmower. This is just like your consumer, like L110.
You're
It
right.
was the
Basic
dash
Lowe's
panel,
lawn tractor kind of thing. Yeah.
yes, and somebody bought the dash panel in England, and they paid $120 for this thing to get. They paid $80 shipping and $40 for the part.
Wow.
And and it just little stuff like that. The more hard it is to get a part for a certain machine or car or something like that, the better the aftermarket or used market is going to be. And I'm going towards the used market. So
Right. Well, that's cool. Yeah, and if possible, I'll buy parts from your store in the future. I mean, obviously, it just depends if you have the random thing that I'm looking for. Tell people like what the name of your eBay store is.
the name of the eBay store is New Old South LLC. So, and you can just look that up on eBay, just type that in. But if you look it up, it's going to be a pretty wide variety of stuff on there. So, I like I said, I haven't quite niched down into something in particular yet, but that's when you really start making money. Just like with landscaping and stuff, you really can make some money if you niche down into one service.
And
So,
just being patient with all the things on there, that would be something that would be hard for me. Like, I got, all these boxes of parts that are not even for machines I own, and you're just, hoping that these things sell or whatever. Like, how do you like organize that in your mind? Because you have like all this, you spent money on all this stuff, and you got to make money back on it. You know what I mean? Like all these random things, and like you're saying, something might sit on there for a year, it might sit on there for one day.
yeah.
But
Yeah, that's how that is. And then with the retail business, if you have if I have 100 items that I had from January 1st through December 31st, and it did not sell, and I carried that inventory through the year, I can write off that inventory as a loss on my
I gotcha.
taxes. So you don't like totally lose on this stuff. There's reason all these big businesses are still in business. You just got to kind of learn to play the game and everything. Don't cheat on your taxes by any means.
Right.
And just do the stuff by the book, and just read the stuff, or get you a tax professional to help you out. I do all of my taxes, and my wife does all of them. But we go through with the TurboTax, and pay for the business stuff and go through all that. And it takes forever, but my wife makes amazing bookkeeping. So, she keeps track of everything down to a T, so she can fill that stuff out, have the taxes done in a couple of hours usually.
Wow, that's incredible. And so it's just so cool, I think, and I think that's something that a lot of guys would never think about, having a eBay business, starting an eBay business. I think it's cool though. I think a website like eBay is cool just because it gives everyone basically a chance to sell something on there, even if you're not, you don't have like a retail storefront, but like any person can just sign up and start building their reviews and start, to sell things on eBay. And I think that's cool. I think that's cool that they, because when we were kids or whatever, I mean, that wasn't really a thing. And so I think it's cool that nowadays, a website like eBay, I mean, you can do that. You can do the stuff that you're doing. Obviously, it's a lot of work. I mean, what you're doing is hard work. Like finding this stuff, driving all over Southeast, hoping in your mind that you're making money when you're going to these auctions and stuff, hoping you're buying it cheap enough, hoping that you're, all those kind of things. And yeah, so like I think it's cool though, but overall I think it's really cool. It's just eBay is just kind of another opportunity. Just like our lawn care business, like anyone can do that. They could start, find a niche of whatever things they like to sell or whatever and do that. And so I think that's cool. And you have a lot of info about that. So I think that's really neat. So
Yeah, and one thing I didn't mention the eBay business. One of my biggest focuses is trying to get to where I'm making the same amount of revenue as I do with my lawn care business, hopefully a little bit more. And because we want to move, and I don't know if we're going to be close enough to be able for me to continue my lawn care route where I'm at.
Right.
So, we do, and this is like a 10-year plan. So, I'm just trying to slowly move towards it because I learned with my landscaping business starting it, things don't happen overnight. It takes a long time to get to where it's reliable, consistent money. And, I'm starting this out, and I'm going to move towards, focusing more on it because, with eBay, you're sending stuff out on the internet. So it doesn't really matter where you're located in all honesty.
Right, you got to have somewhere where you
difference.
can, some kind of shipping location though, where you can bring the stuff, right? Like within a reasonable distance would be good.
Yeah, I mean, you're still. I'm not, I'm not moving out in the middle of the Sahara Desert or anything, but, I just for if we move, on the other side of Athens, where it's a little, that would be. I don't want to drive an hour and a half just to come and, cut grass in a box truck. I don't know how efficient that would be.
Right.
So. That would, but that's just, I do, I just kind of want to switch that over. And also I have 2 daughters and we want to have more children too. And I'm at the point where there'll probably be daughters as well. So I would like to have a business that the family can help me out more with.
Yes.
And
that's cool.
selling stuff on eBay. I mean, my daughter's 3 and she comes out here and puts the labels on packages and stuff for me. So,
that's awesome.
everybody can help, and it don't matter what the weather is and stuff like that. And it's for me, it's just, I get more excitement out of it. I've always liked taking stuff apart and everything. And, it's just nice to be able to do that. And you get cool. It's kind of like gambling, it's a little addictive because I've bought stuff at auctions. I bought one desk lot of stuff, and I found a pocket watch that I sold for $500 in it.
Oh wow!
So and it was just in a drawer. So when you find stuff like that, it's just absolutely crazy. And then you find some real crazy stuff too. There was one auction where I bought a computer and figured out the guy that had died actually committed suicide, and I figured that out via his computer because I was just trying to go through and delete stuff, and on the search history there was a bunch of stuff about all that, and that was disturbing, but
right.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's really cool. And what about like these storage places? I think about maybe a year or 2 ago, I bought this really nice toolbox in my garage. I don't know, it has a bunch of drawers on it. Just like a toolbox like they would have at a shop or something. And I bought it from, someone just had it listed on Facebook Marketplace, but it was when I actually talked to the guy. He's a young guy that somehow has the deal with like the owners of these different like storage places, and then so like if the people don't pay or whatever, he will just pay the owner set amount for whatever's in the thing. And then he just tries to resell the stuff. And then I bought the toolbox, that someone left, but.
Oh, yeah.
But I think, I'm like, man, that's cool. But I guess you have to make sure, the challenge is just with what you're doing is just like anything is obviously I'm on Facebook Marketplace. I want a deal on a toolbox. If it's as much as a new one, I'll just buy a new one. So like how does that guy make sure he's making money? Because he paid the guy whatever for the storage thing. And then I offered him a significant, I don't know what, I think I paid maybe $125 for this toolbox and knew it's, at least double that. It's a Harbor Freight one, but it was like, I don't know, it's a $300-400 Harbor Freight toolbox,
Yeah.
And so I think he had it listed for maybe, I'm just telling you what actually happened. I think he maybe had it listed for like $200 or something. But then it was around Christmas time or something like that, and then but Harbor Freight had them on sale, during that time. And for like, I don't know what it was, for really, how they'll have random things where they go on really good price. And I was about to buy that toolbox, and I look on Marketplace, and this guy has this one, but again, it was only like $20 less or something than the Harbor Freight, but it's in excellent condition. Like, it doesn't, like, nobody used it that actually like worked on cars, you know what I mean? Like, it looks like it's brand new,
Yeah.
But I told the guy, I'm like, hey, I was just honest with the guy. I messaged him. I was like, hey, I'm not going to pay you $20 less than I just go to Harbor Freight and buy one, so I'll give you $125 for it, and I'll come today and buy it. So think about that. And so he was like, okay, and so he took it. Like, I don't guess a lot of people have been asking about it or whatever. So me and River took my trailer, rode down there, and bought the thing. But I'm like, and so I got a great deal on Toolbox, but I'm like, does that guy, like, is he still making? Because when people are looking on Marketplace for sure, but also on eBay, like, they're not necessarily looking to pay the highest price that there is. You know what I mean? They're looking to get a deal on something. That's why you're looking on Marketplace or on, eBay and all that stuff. So that, I guess that's the challenge for you, right? Is finding stuff at a good deal, like, but you have to list it cheap enough that people will buy it. You know what I mean? So like, I guess for me that would be the hardest part of like mentally figuring out how do I do that. How do I upcharge it compared to what I paid for it, but still cheap enough where people will still want to buy it in the used market. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's just it takes a special kind of person to just realize the value in things, and it's not for everybody. When I was younger, I wasn't allowed to watch TV after a certain time, and I would go to bed and I would read. My selection of reading was usually a catalog for tools. I would look at Northern tool catalogs, and I would just remember what stuff costs. And that was, and as I got older, I would always do that. And I spend a lot of time on Facebook Marketplace, so you get ideas of what stuff's worth. And whenever you see something, you're like, man, don't those usually sell for $1,000? You go and pick it up. But that's not to say like I said, I've lost my fair share of money on eBay, but I've also made some too. But you have to. One thing too is buying like a large lot of something. That's where the storage containers and stuff like that. That's where they really make their money, is they're buying a whole area of stuff in there, and they don't really know what's in there, and that's too much gambling for me. I got to know a little bit. Like, I got to know I'm going to make money on it,
right?
If I'm buying it.
Yeah.
But, these guys, they'll just blindly buy. They'll spend thousands of dollars on the things, and it blows my mind, but they'll make some money on it too. So,
yeah, and that's just, I guess that goes, like you're saying, buying the lots. That's where potentially you can gain a lot of money, but potentially lose money too. But again, it's just like, I guess it's just like any other business. Like, there's no guarantee you're going to go out tomorrow and have a fully profitable lawn care day, right? Everything on your mower might break. Like, that's just, it's part of the risk that you take. And so I do think I think it's so cool. I think the buying, selling is cool. Like, I've done like 5, 6, 7 different, project mowers over the years of ones that I bought, buy them around Christmas time or whatever. People, they're trying to start their business, or maybe they didn't go as well as they thought. And then boom, you know how this goes. And Christmas time, they need money or whatever. They're listing on Marketplace. And so I'll buy them and bunch of problems with them. Then I'll go on eBay, right? And I'll order all these different random parts for this old turf tracer or whatever, and replace all these pulleys and belts and things. And then in the spring, I would sell the mower. And I've done that, many times, like over the last, 10 years or whatever. Like, and I think that's cool. But also it's just like, man, even in the spring when you do it, obviously, just like I said, people, they're looking for a deal on the mower as well, So it's like, by the time I haggle with the guy, I drive to darn, west of Atlanta and spend the wear and tear on my truck and trailer and go there and buy the mower. And then I got to do all the work on the mower, buy all the parts and do that stuff. And then, clean it, list it, fix it, take pictures and stuff. And I'm honest with the people, like, hey, I bought this mower, some problems with it, fix it. I tell them exactly like how I got it and reason and all that. But then when I look back, I'm like, yeah, sometimes, and like you're saying, it varies. Some I would just kind of break even. Some I would make really good money on. But I would have to get better at it because I've done it for like, I don't know, 3-4 years. But over the last year or two, I just stopped doing that because I'm like, man, sometimes I just get burnt out on, going haggling with the people and doing all that. I don't know. It's just like, I'll just, if I want to make that extra couple $100, I'll just add another lawn and just do that. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, that's kind of why I've gravitated towards eBay more so than selling stuff. And I mean, I had last year around Christmas time, I sold a four-wheeler that I bought and fixed up and everything, just like you were talking about with the mowers. And I'm not even making this up. This guy, when he came and looked at it, was at my house for 3 hours.
wow.
Talking and looking at it, and then he forgot the money. So he had to. He had to wait. That's why he was here for so long. His wife had to drive down from 45 minutes away. And he was just here kicking rocks, talking to me, and I'm like, dude, I don't really want you here, but I can't tell him to leave because he's buying the four-wheeler for me. So that was the eBay. You're not talking to the people or nothing. You just
So that would be definitely a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely got its drawbacks. It just depends on what you want to do with it, though.
Well, and I think that would be a definitely a plus to the eBay thing, like you're saying, because you're not having to really like actually interact with the people. I mean, one of the last mowers I sold, the guy, he, obviously, and then I'm messing up my whole lawn schedule because they want to come some random day at 10 in the morning, that kind of thing. And so he comes here from like a couple hours away or whatever. And he gets here and looks at the mower and he's like, "Oh, well, I gotta go back to my bank and get the money." And I'm like, why would you drive 3 hours to look at a mower and then not bring the money with you like that? like what are these guys like thinking? I mean, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I mean, man, like this is anyway. So, and then he's like, "Do you have this bank like right down the road?" And you know where we live out here, we don't just have every bank like down the road. And so he drives back to Conyers or whatever and finds some bank, and he's there like 5 minutes before they close, and he gets the money, and he's contacting me. And then he drives back, and he gets to Madison over there, racetrack, and his radiator blows out of his old F-150. He has one like yours, And so he's down there. Well, actually, it started overheating down in Conyers or wherever when he was picking up this money. And then so he's like, "Hey, I'm at the parts store. I'm getting this, more water, more coolant put in there." And then so he like makes it back and stuff. But I mean, think about it. By this time, I mean, I'm waiting on from 8 in the morning. I mean, it's 6, 8, 7 at night by the time I'm doing it, just to sell this mower and make a few $100. You know what I'm saying? Like it really, it,
takes the fun out of it.
Yeah. And doing that a few times, it can hurt your feelings. And then, so as I move into this year and last year, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna have my 2 mowers sitting in the garage. I ain't fooling with no hack masters, all these shady guys with all these mowers on Facebook. I'm just not gonna even look or like buy them or like do any of that stuff, And it is, quality of life is up a little bit from not messing with that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Well, you gotta and like I was saying with the eBay, that's why I like it, because I can choose not to do anything with it. And
right.
I mean, Tony, I haven't listed anything in like 10 days probably, because I've been cutting grass and making that cash, and then I'm also rebuilding the front porch at my mom's house, so that's eating up a lot of time. But that was you can't overwork yourself. It's just too common that I see people, and unfortunately one of my best friends, he overworks himself a lot, and I see it in his eyes when I see him, because I know him very well.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just tell when somebody's just stressed and just too overworked. And I tell him all the time, I'm like, dude, you just need to chill. Like, I know you got to make money to pay for this and to pay for that, but sometimes you got to put your health and your family first. You don't need to buy certain things. You don't have to go on a $3,000 vacation or anything like that. So you need to just there's a quality of life standard. And that's why I like having my own business, because we can. I mean, I was able to retire my wife, as some people say, but she's a stay-at-home mom, and she's going to homeschool our daughters, which is going to be great. And
absolutely.
and it's just her being able to, we can just drop and go out of town on vacation whenever. And we don't have a school schedule to worry
Right,
about. She don't
right,
have a job to call out for. And that's just, honestly, with lawn care and stuff and landscaping, that's how most of my vacations are.
right,
I'll text my customers and say, hey, I won't be there this week, and it'll just be a short notice vacation, because you got to do what the weather's going to allow. I mean,
right.
you can't
Absolutely. Yes.
you can't just take vacations when it's super nice out, unfortunately.
Well, well, I thank you so much for your time today. I've taken a lot of your time, and I just appreciate your friendship. Just like actual real life friendship. You're a cool guy. He lives close to me. It's cool how it's interesting. We got to tell this real quick, but somehow he contacted me years ago, and was listening to Paul Jameson's podcast, and he was like, "Hey, you live close." Well, actually, so he hunted me down on my YouTube channel. He's like, "Hey, I have a box truck. It's got like the purple and green stripe on it." I'm just seeing a random comment like, "Hey, I have a box truck, purple, green stripe, whatever." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And like, we should meet up sometime. And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." And so we would comment back and forth, but I still had no idea who you are. And I'm completely open to meeting up with random lawn guys on the internet. Like that doesn't scare me at all. But what I'm saying is like, we comment back and forth, and schedules never aligned and that kind of thing. Like, it wasn't like, I wasn't like trying to block you or avoid replying to your comments. I mean, I did reply to all of them, and I would be open to doing it. But anyway, years later, your wife was started joining the homeschool group, I think, and then
Yep.
that's how you
Yep.
figured out that you knew who I was, and that and then I figured out that you were the one, that comment on that. I mean, this was years ago, but like that was so cool. So it's cool how
Just a
we
small
met.
world.
Yeah, we met a different way, even though you did, I guess, initially comment on there. But so it's cool, and so now it's been neat. I've been over to your house several times, and you and your family are just awesome people. I mean, you guys invite us to your kids' birthday parties and stuff. Like, it just means a lot to me. It's really cool that you would value us like that. And I just value you and your wife and kids' friendship, and that's a really cool thing. And
Same here, man. Same here.
yeah, so
It's good. It's good to have a local friends and local lawn bros.
yeah, yeah,
It's nice to be able to kind of lean on each other for stuff, because I know I have phoned you up and asked if it was raining at your house, because I have customers in your area.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, and just know that you're always invited to come to the expo. Hey, maybe there's some old rusty mower you can pick up on the way up there or something.
Oh, dude, don't doubt it, man. I didn't buy an excursion for no reason. I won't be pulling a trailer up there and loading them up with John Deere's.
Yeah, yeah. Because man, it's gonna be an awesome time. If you've never been before, and I've tried to talk you into going for years, but think about this. We've met each other. This one thing, but like when you get around 30,000 other people that are some of the coolest people, like in the green industry and the lawn and landscape industry, like it is amazing. And then plus the trip is a write off. It's the cheapest trip that we do all year. And like hotels in any direction, it's during the middle of the week, and 15 minutes in any direction, they don't know the event's going on. So the hotel prices are low. If you're willing to drive 15 minutes in any direction from the place.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, yeah, and the ticket's $15, with promo code Paul or whatever. So like, yeah, I mean, I think I have, probably $300 in my hotel that I booked, but I booked it like even before Christmas or whatever. But and then I have the ticket, and then we'll gas, and even the money that I am spending on it, is a write off. So it's just, man, it's kind of my wife really enjoys it because there's a lot for them to see because of just the magnitude of it. It's not just like a couple guys up meeting up chatting about a lawnmower. It's not like that. It's like it's an event. You know what I mean? Like the whole thing.
Pretty dead slow, from my understanding.
Yeah. And so just know that you're invited to that. I'm going to it every year, and I will continue to go to it unless I cannot for some reason. I mean,
I definitely do want to go to it. I don't know if we can this year. As you know, one of my daughters has health issues, so we've been trying to sort that out and everything. But I do want to go. I do go to local Atlanta conventions for lawn care whenever they pop up. There's one that pops up in Atlanta. I think it's in February or something like that. And I've gone to that one several times, and I really enjoyed it. And I definitely would love to go to the expo. And that was it's definitely up on my list of stuff that I want to do. But whenever your children are very young, it's a little
Oh yeah,
difficult
it's
to get them out of
difficult.
town sometimes.
Yes, and
So
also, man, like it's, because they don't. It's kind of a new rule in the last like 3 years, or whatever. But you have to be 12 to get in. So like my kids are coming with us, and my parents, you can plug in your camper and stay out in the parking lot. They have like full hookups at this huge event center thing, and so.
nice.
So we're actually going to be doing shifts, so where like maybe me and my wife go out there with the kids for a while, and my dad goes into the expo, that kind of thing. So like, we're choosing to not let that stop us, even though the kids aren't even allowed really inside. We're still going to go and like, we're going to have to make that work. And we've
Oh
done that.
yeah.
We've done that the last couple of years, and it works pretty good. But I'm just saying, just know you're included, you're invited. Um, yeah, and I know you've had a lot of things going on with your kids' health stuff and all that, but it is so motivating to meet all these people and meet. You get to talk to any of these aftermarket companies or just like all these things that would pertain to your lawn and your eBay business. It's really really neat. I mean, there's over 1,000 booths, of like different brands that do different things. Small companies ranging from anything, green industry, even stuff that has to do with, people that are selling, because it's also for all the dealers and stuff too. So there's all these aftermarket brands and different shipping things. I mean, there's just everything that you can think of that is around the green industry. It's pretty cool. So definitely keep that on your radar. And, even if you, like I said, if a hotel in any direction, the ones right around there, there's 30,000 people there, so they get flooded. But like the ones in any direction, I mean, even if you decided 3 days before the event that you were going to go for one day or whatever, like it can be done. I did that last year. I didn't know if I could go, and then last minute I went, and worked out fine. Worked out great. And it's not too bad of a drive, like it's like Chattanooga, Nashville. It's like 7 hours or something, a little more than that. When I go with my kids and all that, you know how that works. I mean, it's probably more like
Oh yeah.
8.5 by the time we do that. But,
Yeah, kids they make traveling. I always take the scenic route, but
Yeah.
and I'm I don't mind driving. So I mean, I'll drive. We drove to the beach just for 2 hours, and it's a 4.5 hour drive
yeah.
there. So we just went there. We were at the beach for less time and took a drive there, much less drive back. But it is what it is. But let me not going be motivation to you and anybody else that's recording stuff for YouTube. I did last year, and I will this year if I don't go. I watch every video I can find on YouTube
Oh,
of
wow.
people
That's
doing the
cool.
booths and walking
Yeah.
around and showing the stuff off because, I might not be there, but I can, I still appreciate, all the stuff
What are you
that
saying?
people post on there because you can still see cool
Okay,
stuff
bring it
on
out
there.
here.
So it's cool to see all that whenever people record everything for me, and the Stanley Dirt Monkey. I love all the stuff
Mm-hmm.
that he'll do because he'll actually talk to the people at the booth, and they'll go over the product they're selling and everything. And I just think that's the coolest thing ever. So
Yeah.
and that would besides going, that's the best that I've managed to do. But like I said, I definitely want to go one day and check it out, and I'll be sure to leave my checkbook at home when I do go.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, buddy. Well, you have a great day. Enjoy your time off. Hang out with your family, whatever you're up to today. And let's catch up soon, all right?
All right, yes, sir. You have a good one. Thank you.
All right. See you, bud.
Yes, sir. Bye bye.
All right, guys, there you have it. Local friend of mine. He's an awesome guy. He lives down the street a bit. And I don't know, maybe he's 10, 15 minutes away. But I just like, hey, can you get on the phone today, like on the phone call and do the podcast? And he was like, yeah. And so that's what we did. So I hope you guys enjoy it because we took some time to build this for you guys. It's a long episode, but it's some interesting stuff in there for sure. So, yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening. And I said what LCBU was at the beginning. I don't remember now. I think it's 21 or 22. Yeah, I think it's 22 maybe. All right, then. Appreciate you guys. Let's stay at it. Let's get to mowing. See ya.